two pros. You'll notice we're running one car, and this is because we're staying active in racing for now, because next year we're racing in GTP. And part of the team going forward will be working on the GTP program. Part of the team will be staying fit and ready on the race side. So that's why one car is going to be one car for the rest of the season. And stay tuned, you'll start seeing photos and communication from the GTP car. So with that, Connor, over to you.
Yeah, Connor. Drive for BMW. Been with them since 2018. Some of you I know, some of you new faces to me, so welcome. Obviously, we're here at Laguna, big tire degradation track. Which, fortunately, with the new M4, previously that was a weakness of ours with our previous cars, but with this car, it's made a very big step forward with tire consumption and the ability to save the tire over a stint. So we're super keen to get the race going. I think the first part of the stint we're not necessarily the strongest, but we're really curious to see how it develops over the race. I think we're going to be really strong today. And yeah, if you have any questions, or we'll do the driver change competition. You guys have to pair up, and we'll see who can get in and out the quickest. If you can beat 12 seconds, you have our job.
We were under 12.
Yeah, we were under 12. We had one of our fastest, in warm-up, we had one of our fastest ever this weekend. So John is extra flexible. He gets out really quick this weekend. So,
yeah. I'm John Edwards. I've been here for 10 years now. And I still remember when I was doing these things and being like, hey, I'm a new guy, but really aging myself now after being here a decade. So this is the fourth iteration of a BMW that I've raced. I started in the Z4 GTE, and then the M6 GTLM and the M8 GTLM, and now the M4. So as Connor said, made a big step forward with the M4 in terms of tire deg, and we're at the highest tire deg track. So I think the question for us is whether that's going to be enough to close the gap in terms of pace to the front, because the Porsche and the Mercedes for sure are quicker than us, and we were 6/10 off in qualifying on one lap pace, but we don't really know what they can do in terms of long run pace. So I mean the Aston, I know on Friday was running and doing minute 28 laps, and Connor was doing started in the high 25s and then was kind of settled in the low 26s on his long run. So we hope that will stay true and we can beat him on the long runs. We lost a little bit of power, but we don't think it's worth all that much. So I think as a new car, it always happens where you can come in and be either way too good, or in our case at Daytona, we were way too slow. In the BOP, we got a lot of help from Sebring, but there's these big waves, and then so we got a little bit down from Long Beach, a little bit down from here. I think what we do in development and what we do in balance and stuff can get us back to where we need to be. So we had a really good car in Long Beach, and unfortunately had some problems that kind of took us out of contention. But I think Long Beach really should have been ours, realistically. I think the Corvette was the biggest threat, but then they had the penalty after the pit stop. So had we been where we should have been in second, or started second, I think we would have been in control of that race. So that was a bitter one to go home from. But Connor proved last weekend the car's quick at Nürburgring with a win. So we're going to try to get him 2 in a row this weekend.
You guys got 3 lines of one. You have a bet. I think Kyle, you get $100 for each car you bet. So how much did you earn?
I don't think we ever shook hands on that. I think we haven't shook hands.
we asked nearly the whole field, I think. So
Yeah, he won for a bit.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, you discount the pit stops and all that. But
Yeah, he won on because we stayed out, but realistically, just from driving, we were third. So he had passed the entire GTD field and then made up a couple spots on our GTD Pro field. So we were really ready to be on the podium and hitting that lap when the yellow came out. So, And if we restarted in third, I think we were faster than 2 cars ahead. Whether we could get by was a question, but I think we had a really good shot at still winning the race after starting last. And unfortunately, the yellow was a mistimed for us. So that was unfortunate.
Next time, make it $1,000.
Yeah. You can make it whatever you want because I'm not paying.
Have you noticed anything from an aerodynamic perspective that's measurable or noticeable in your?
Not really. I think that with going from GTL into GT3, you lose a little bit of downforce. But for us, the real noticeable thing is the tires. The tires are so much more powerful than the little bit of air. I mean, even when we ran the M6 GTLS, and then we go to Turkey and run the M6 GT3, it felt the same. You know, so from a driver perspective, obviously there's little things, and if you pitted them right against each other, you'd probably come out a little ahead of the GTLS. But realistically, it's not something that you're gonna, especially when you go track to track in different years.
Yeah.
You're talking about little amounts.
Yeah. This is the first time you have race ABS, right?
Yeah, ABS is a huge difference as well. But just in terms of like using grip, going from one to another. Yeah, the ABS is a totally different driving style because you know, turn 2 is a great example here in the GTLM car. You have to have a pretty big speed while you're straight, and then if you start to turn in, you have to really trail off. And the GTLM tire, the confidential tire, allowed you to carry a lot of speed in without locking out. This tire doesn't let you carry that much speed, but because you have the ABS, you can actually hold a lot of brake pressure. So it means you can brake a little bit later, hold your foot on the brake, and just turn in, and the car goes. Whereas, you know, in the GTLM, if you tried that, you'd be locked up sailing through the corner.
Does that help with tire degradation too, then?
I mean, it depends how you use it. Yeah. Some guys will just lay into the ABS and hold on to it. I generally try to get out of it. I mean, it's hard. In my honest opinion, I hate ABS because it makes the car do things that it normally wouldn't do, but it's part of the class, so just kind of have to adapt to it, figure it out.
Is that the biggest adjustment you've had to make, going from the M8 to here?
Yeah. And honestly, I still not necessarily feel like I still like default back to my old ways when I get back in this car, and like it still takes a little while to kind of transition back to the driving style with this. So, like we're used to a very a peaky brake pedal hit, and then you trail off, and like with the ABS, you use like 70% of the pressure, but then you hold it for a long period of time, and then you bleed off. So it's very counterintuitive to what we've been doing our entire lives.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice that we're in the busy part of the season now because, you know, we raced last week, we're racing now, we're racing next week. So you get kind of starting to adapt better. But like Connor said, we had a big break from Daytona to Sebring with no testing, and I went out first practice at Sebring driving exactly like it was a GTLM car. You know, it's peak brake pressure coming off, and I wasn't slowing down. I'm overshooting the corner. I'm like, what am I doing? You know, but you fall back into your old habits. So now that we're kind of in the busy part of the season, I think our baseline's starting to readjust.
You still have the great lock-up lights and stuff, or they're still there?
Yeah, but we don't. Yeah, they're there, but we don't need them. They're actually on the dash now, so it shows up on the dash. Like when the tires are cold this morning, I hit the brakes unfortunately. You see it come on, but the ABS kicks in and they go off. So
you don't worry about it.
You don't need to use it that much.
Yeah.
You feel it in the pedal and you feel the ABS. Yeah. That's kind of what you base it off of now more than locking lights. But yeah, on the M8 we had locking lights because with the fenders covering the wheels, you couldn't see anything until there was a ton of smoke, and then the tires shot.
It's surprising you don't feel it.
Yeah, you don't.
I remember the first time I drove a GT car, it was a Porsche Cup car, and I'm like breaking in, no idea I'm locked up until like the cockpit is full of smoke, and I'm like, oh shit, get off the brake. That was my first time in a GT car.
Yeah, because coming from Formula cars, you know, especially since you're mostly locked inside front, you brake, and if you start to have a lockup, it's right in your line of sight because you're turning in, looking in the corner, and the tire's right here. So you would see it even before it was fully locked. You would see it starting to lock, and it was super easy to modulate that. But
But in comparison to a Formula car, obviously we have power steering, so you with that you lose a lot of the feedback from lock-up type stuff. Like a Formula car, you can usually feel it. And in this thing, at least in other GT cars as well, like you lose that little bit of feedback from the wheels. So, yeah.
On the other hand, the power steering.
Yeah, with this thing, yeah, race car without it.
So the car's set up for the track to be hot when you're out there in the afternoon. It's cold in practice and it's humid. So what's it like going out in morning practice for a car that's set up for a track that's grippy?
It's like driving in the rain.
Yeah. Is it that bad?
It's really
First
bad.
couple laps? Yeah.
It's really bad. I mean, what's interesting is this tire, when it's cold, it will actually brake pretty okay. So your straight line braking gives you the feeling that it's going to slow down. So even in that warm-up lane or the pit exit lane, I hit the brakes kind of early, to be safe. And I said, oh, okay, it's got grip. And then I turned, and I thought I was going straight off. So you got to be careful because it'll trick you into thinking that you have more grip than you do, and then you start putting some lateral load in it, and it just skids right across the surface. So
Did the track get better over the course of practice?
I mean, it takes to bring the tires in. I did 5 laps, and it took all of 4 laps to get to heat it.
Favorite corner here, least favorite corner here.
Turn 9 is definitely my favorite. I think that's really cool. Least favorite, I guess turn 11 is just the least exciting.
Least favorite for me is for sure turn 3. I'd say the ultimate favorite is probably between 9 and 10. I think 10 is probably the most underrated corner on the track. So I like 10. 10, when you get 10 right, it's really satisfying. But yeah, turn 3 is one of those corners where you can hit it perfect and you still feel like you got it wrong. Like we were looking at data, he did it like 4 different ways. A little quicker in, a little slower out, a little slower in, a little faster out. It's like net 0 every time. So you can drive it so many ways. Yeah. You can drive it so many ways and just the same, no matter how you do it, it's just the same time.
Yeah, because I even changed my line a little bit. I tried going like a little bit straighter and then sharpening when I was turning. And I tried, carrying the speed, turning super early, and net 0 lap time.
Any weird places to pass here? I know it's a tough place to pass, but I've seen some craziness like in 10, you guys driving a crazy line through there.
I think with traffic makes it tricky. Yeah. Because they can accelerate the corner in places like 9 and 10 so much quicker, so like the likelihood of being 2 or even 3 wide, like being split by 2 prototypes, is a lot higher at a track like this than other places. So
yeah, and I think you can take advantage sometimes of, even if we come up, okay, we're the slowest class, but so we're not passing any other classes, but sometimes you get lap traffic, and if somebody gets stuck in 9, sometimes you can surprise somebody even on the outside of 9, or just take advantage of when there's a hole. I think that's the only kind of, you ask about weird places to pass. I mean, you can't really surprise anybody straight up normally, but in traffic, you can definitely surprise people, because if they have to check up, like especially 9's a good example, because if they have to check up because they're really on the inside, you can get this big radius, and then you kind of hurt yourself there, and they can't push you wide because they're stuck, at that point. So I've done that. I did that on the outlap today, actually, but sometimes that works. But like I said, if you don't have traffic to force that move, that would have never worked.
So speaking of weird places to pass, last year at Historic Races, you decided to pass on the corkscrew on the inside.
should we have Tom plug his ears?
Was this in practice or?
I think it was during the race.
It's definitely in practice.
I don't remember that. I remember at the exit of the corkscrew in practice. I don't remember the one in the race going into
I
the
got
corkscrew.
choreographic proof of it.
Was it the exit or the entry?
It started the move
In the braking?
going down and went inside 8A.
Oh yeah. Was that when Bill was on the outside?
I think it might have been.
Yeah, that was a good one. I actually asked for that video, and Tom never sent me the video, but I wanted to post it.
Of it.
Yeah, we, that was a fun race because we were running the E92s. So Connor and Bill were in the E92s, and they went out together to run, and then I was in a bit slower car, but I was in the race by myself, so I wasn't doing a driver change, and those guys had other guys starting the race, so I knew that I could pull a bit of a gap. I didn't say that.
Slow guys.
He was one of them, so I didn't say it. So I knew I could pull a bit of a gap on the start, but I didn't know how much pace difference there would be once they got in the E92s, which are clearly faster. So I wanted, I went out ahead of them in practice to see how long I could hold them off, because that was going to be really valuable info for the race. So Bill thought I was just going to let him by, and I outbraked him into the corkscrew. And then he said, okay, well, now I'm going to,
now it's on.
Now it's on. So we were side by side through the corkscrew over the crest, and there was a Porsche doing a gearbox bed-in process at the bottom. So we're side by side, and we just decided to split them. And so we went 3 wide into 9 with this traffic in the middle. And then again, I held it on the outside and cleared Bill and kept it behind. So that information helped me win the race on Saturday. So it was good that we went out and messed around with that. But yeah, we were a bit worried to talk about it in front of Tom at first. So. Those are all Tom's cards. So
the cars are still alive.
hey,
right?
we know all good. It's all good. It's all good until it's not.
The way he was driving, the only GTR in existence that runs. So there's one in the museum, there's another one at BMW Classic, and there's ours.
But I was outside of 9, passing Bill Oberlin in his E92.
And we don't have a lot of spares, so
Well, Bill, it's always fun doing these events with Bill, like press events or, the Modern Historics or whatever, because it's supposed to be an exhibition, but Bill Oberlin does not know what that word means. So
He doesn't
race.
know
There's one word,
it's
race. He has one mode, it's 10 out of 10, and so we were doing journalist rides at one point during the M3, M4 launch. This has been, 7 or 8 years ago. It was two generations ago. We were at Road America, and we had the two E92s there. And we were giving rides to passengers, and Bill said, hey, it'd be really cool if we went out, because we're doing 2 laps every time. It'd be cool if we went out together, do 1 lap in, one order and 1 lap in the other order. You can kind of see what it's like to run nose to tail and kind of look inside, whatever. I said, cool. So it started out, got to the front straight, Bill lifted and I went by, and then we pitted, did the same thing, and then each time it got a little bit harder to pass him. He's supposed to be lifting and letting me by, but then 1 lap he just didn't. And so I said, okay, it's on. So it got to the point where they put sticker tires on and we left the pits on cold tires with passengers. And he got a little wide in 3 because the tires were cold. I got to run down the straight into 5, and I popped out and I hit the brakes going over the crest, and I locked up the left front, and I thought, oh man, I'm gonna look really stupid locked up, in a media ride. And I turned to my right and I see tire smoke from Bill's car because he's locked up too. So we were going down the hill with the 2 cars and passengers locked up, and I said, okay, this is enough. We got to stop. Tom's gonna get upset.
Another set of flat spotted tires.
Yeah, no, we didn't flat spot. He came off. We just both went super wide.
Well, I think that's. You have another one to go to. We have some hero cards here that are pre-signed. So
Thank you.
if you missed yesterday, you're welcome to have these today.